Hello, hello! Pete's Pax here, and we have our third commander deck, Lorehold Legacies from Strixhaven, School of Mages. Let's see what's in this thing. As with previous, it comes with 9 counters, everything else, and a divider. Everything else is in the deck box. Let's see. We have nice Lorehold deck box. A recyclable insert. A branded 40 life double-sided life counter. An insert with the Learn to Play text. For commander on one side, and then a quick little bio for the 4 different potential commanders on the inside. Alright, now for what's in the actual deck. Our face commander is Osgir, the Reconstructor. For 2, a red and a white, you get a 4/4 Vigilant Giant Artificer legendary creature. With 1, sacrifice an artifact, target free creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn, and then X tap, exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card, activate only as a sorcery. So this can be used to go off with a number of different artifacts. Then we have Alibu, Ancient Witness, 3 red-white for 4/5 Golem legendary creature. Other artifact creatures you control have haste. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control attack, Alibu Ancient deals X damage to any target and use Scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. So, good way to either burn out your opponents or clear the way for your artifacts. We have some reprints from Strixhaven. We have Secret Rendezvous, Reconstruct History, Rip Apart, Lorehold Campus. We have Study Hall, taps for colorless, and then filters to 1 of any color. When you spend it on your mana, or when you spend that mana on your commander, you scry X, where X is the number of times it's been cast from the command zone in this game. Darksteel Mutation. It's an enchantment that turns a creature into an insect with power and toughness 0/1 and indestructible. It loses all other abilities, card types, and creature types, so this is a good way to shut off enemy commanders. Dispatch. For a white, you have an instant tap target creature. If you have Metalcraft, you can exile that creature. We have Dispeller's Capsule, single white artifact. For 2 and a white, and tap and sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So this is a good piece of removal that just sits on the field. You have Return to Dusk, 2 white, or Return to Dust, 2 white, instant, exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast it during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment. So during your main phase, it hits 2, any other time, it just exiles 1. Sanctum Gargoyle, 3 and a white, 2/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Faithless Looting. Let's see. We all know what Faithless Looting does by now, but sorcery for a red. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and then flashback for 2 and a red. Quicksmith Genius. 2 and a red for a 3/2. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. It's a good old rummage. Thopter Engineer, 2 and a red for a 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 Thopter with flying. Artifact creatures you control have haste. And good old Boros Charm. Red-white, instant, and you get 1 of 3 modes, which is 4 damage to target player or planeswalker, Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, or target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Arcane Signet, we all know what that does by now. Boros Locket, it's a mana rock for 3, taps for a red or a white, and then for 4 hybrid red-white, you can tap and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Burnished Heart, 3 mana 2/2 for 3 and sack it. Search your library for 2 basic lands and put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Commander Sphere, 3 mana rock, you can sack to draw a card. Hedron Archive, 4 mana rock that taps for 2 colorless, 2 and tap and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Ichor Wellspring, when it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Little Meteor Golem, 7 mana 3/3, when it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Mindstone, mana rock for 2, taps for colorless, tap and sack it for 1 to draw a card. Mycosynth Wellspring, 2 mana artifact. This one has a misprint. It's got 2 ink spots. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Pilgrim's Eye, 3 mana 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Soul Ring, we all know what that does. Unstable Obelisk, 3 mana mana rock, taps for colorless, 7, tap and sack it, destroy target permanent. Ancient Den, artifact land for white. Boros Garrison, Karu for red-white. Angel of the Ruins, 7 mana 5/7 with flying. Enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And then it has plain cycling for 2. Archaeomancer's Map. This one was actually kind of pricey for a while. I don't know if it still is, but for 2 and a white, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 basic planes. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player controls more lands than you, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Bronze Guardian, 4 and a white for a double strike. Ward 2 X5. Other artifacts you control have Ward 2. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. So a good way of protecting your team and just a very strong card on its own. Digsite Engineer, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 0/0 colorless artifact creature token. With this creature gets +2/+2 for each artifact you control. It's a 3 mana 3/3. It's more or less the second mode of Urza Saga on a creature. Excavation Technique, 3 and a white. Demonstrate, when you play the spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. Players may choose new targets for their copies. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. So a good piece of removal that you can also play some politics with. Lashiel, Clockwork Scholar, 2 and a white for 2/4. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. Whenever 1 or more artifact enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Monologue Tax, 2 and a white enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. So this goes along the same lines as what's it called? The 5 mana one. Smothering Tide. So that pairs up well with it. Audacious Reshapers, 2 and a red for 3/3. Tap and sacrifice an artifact. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Audacious Reshapers deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. So, almost a creativity, but not quite. Battle Mage's Bracers, 2 and a red. Equipped creature has haste. It's an equipment. Equipped creature has haste. Whenever an ability of an artifact or of an equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 1. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Equip 2. So it's kind of like a one-off Rings of Bright Earth. First Mirror, 2 and a red. For an artifact, taps to add a red. As Cursed Mirror enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. Lelia, the Blade Reforged. 2 and a white, 2/2 haste. When it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever you exile one or more cards from your library and or graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Ruin Grinder. 5 and a red for a 7/4 menace. When it dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards, and it has mountain cycling for 2. Wake the Past. 5 red white. Return all artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. Sorcery. Triplicate Titan. 9 mana, 9/9 with flying, vigilance, and trample. When it dies, create a 3/3 colorless artifact golem creature token with flying, a 3/3 with vigilance, and a 3/3 with trample. So kind of like Wormcoil Engine. Cleansing Nova, 3 white, choose one, destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Rout, 3 white, you may cast Rout as though it had flash if you pay 2 more to cast it. Destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. Little Sun Titan, 4 white for a 6/6 vigilant. Vigilance. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Works really well with Oblivion Ring. Chain Reaction, 2 red. It deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. Combustible Gearhulk, 4 red. First striking 6/6. Whenever it enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If that player doesn't, you mill 3 cards, then Combustible Gearhulk deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. Duretti, Scrap Savant, 3 and a red. Planeswalker Duretti comes in with 3 loyalty, +2, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. -2, sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This works really well with cards like Mindslaver. And then -10, you get an emblem with whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. And Duretti Scrap Savant can be your commander. The Felden of the Third Path, 1 red. For a 2/3. 2 and a red, tap. Create a token that's a copy of target creature in your graveyard, except that's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This is really good with things like Sundering Titan, or things that leave behind things when they die, like Triplicate Titan, or Wormcoil Engine, stuff like that. Hellkite Igniter, 5 red, flying haste. 1 in a red, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. It's 5/5. Hellkite Tyrant, 4 red, flying trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. So this is a great alternate win condition, especially with the treasure tokens that you'll be generating. Horde Smelter Dragon, 3 in a red, destroy target artifact. Horde Smelter Dragon gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is that artifact's mana value. It's a flying 5/5. Kia Nalar, 2 in a red for 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. 1 in a red, target artifact gets +1/+0 until end of turn. 1, sacrifice an artifact, target creature can't block this turn. Jorkadeen, the Prevailer, 3 red and a white for a 5/4 first strike. Creatures you can with Metalcraft, creatures you control get +3/+0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Bosch, Iron Golem, 8 mana, 6/7 trample. 3 and a red, sacrifice an artifact. Bosch Iron Golem deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value to any target. Keep in mind, you can sacrifice Bosch to just deal 8 to something. Duplicant. 6 mana 2/4 with imprint. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. As long as the card is exiled with duplicant, is a creature card with. As long as a card exiled with duplicant is a creature card, duplicant has the power, toughness, and creature types of the last creature card exiled with duplicant. It's still a shapeshifter. Key to the City, 2 mana artifact. Tap, discard a card. Up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. Whenever Key to the City becomes untapped, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Mirror Battlesphere, 7 mana 4/7. When it enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. Whenever it attacks, you may tap Whenever it attacks, you may tap X untapped mirror you control. If you do, Mirror Battlesphere gets +X/+O until end of turn, and deals X damage to target player or planeswalker it's attacking. Scrap Trawler, 3 mana 3/2. Whenever it or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Sculpting Steel, 3 mana artifact. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact on the battlefield. Solemn Simulacrum, 4 mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for basic, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When it dies, you draw a card. You may draw a card. Steel Hellkite, 6 mana 5/5 flyer. 2, it gets for 2 mana, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. For X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. Steel Overseer, 2 mana 1/1. With tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. 1,000-Year Elixir, 3 mana artifact. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. 1 and tap, untap target creature. We have Battlefield Forge, the red-white Painland. Exotic Orchard, taps for 1 mana of any color a land an opponent controls could produce. Slayer's Stronghold, oddly enough used quite a bit in Amulet Titan. But tap for a colorless, red-white tap, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. Temple of Triumph, the red-white temple. Command Tower, we know what that does by now. Darksteel Citadel, it's an indestructible artifact land that taps for colorless. Forgotten Cave, it is the red cycling land, it enters tapped. Great Furnace, it's the red artifact land. Myriad Landscape, enters the battlefield tapped, taps for colorless. 2, tap and sacrifice it, search for up to 2 basic lands, and that share a land type, and put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Phyrexia's Core, it's a colorless land that taps for colorless, 1 and tap, sacrifice an artifact, you gain 1 life. Rogue's Passage, tap for colorless, 4 and tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Secluded Steppe is the white cycling land that comes into play tapped. Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion, also used in Amulet Titan. Tap for a colorless, and 2 red-white, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Symbol of False God, tap, add colorless. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plains. We have the cardboard version of the Face Commander. It's quite a bit thicker. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 treasure. They're all mirror on the back. We have 3 copy tokens that are all constructs. Those constructs are great for Karn or for Urza. It's the same construct. Then we have a flying, trample, and vigilant golem. And on the back, they are Thopters. That goes with Triplicate Titan. Then we have a turn order reminder. And that is Lorehold Legacies. Very nice. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.